Hey, Eric.
Hey.
He is so fun. There he is. I'm going in.
Hello out there in TV land. Take a look at your monitors.
Hi, I'm Destiny from As Told by Destiny. You're watching YouTube. Of course, I'm not speaking for all teenage girls all around the world and all the ones that have ever existed in the universe of teenage girls existing when I say this, but I like to believe that a boy crazy phase is a part of the norm. I like to believe that a boy crazy phase is a rite of passage for some teenage girls, and it only becomes weird and uncomfortable and negative when adults are overly critical of literal children and try to make it something it's not most of the time. With all that being said, a lot of the girls, if not all of the girls I watched on all my favorite sitcoms were either boy crazy themselves or they had a lot of boy drama going on, and I was thoroughly entertained because I was a part of the boy crazy community growing up. I had so many celebrity infatuations, so many celebrity crushes, like I'm talking about like over. I'm not even gonna name the number, just know I crushed a lot. So when I was surfing the internet the other day and I ran across somebody posing the question, who was more boy crazy? Raven Baxter, Moesha Mitchell, Tia and Tamara, or Brianna Barnes? Oh, I knew I was an expert on the topic because my main reason for watching any 90s or 2000 TV show growing up is because I wanted to see what boy would be showing up to play the love interest. My favorite to show up was Marilyn Santana. I loved when Marilyn showed up. Anyways, out of the 5 girls in the original poll that I saw, Raven Baxter, Moesha Mitchell, Tia and Tamara, because you know they always just get grouped together, and Brianna Barnes, somehow Moesha won the poll. So I decided to do the poll myself to make sure I wasn't tripping. I dropped Brianna because I honestly haven't watched 101 in a minute. Like I really need to give it a good rewatch. And I dropped Tia and Tamara because I knew in y'all eyes they wouldn't even be in the running for real anyway. So that left Moesha and Raven. And just like I suspected, way too many people are somehow under the impression that Moesha was more boy crazy than Raven Baxter. By definition, Moesha wasn't even boy crazy for real. She just had a lot of boy drama and she was a little rebellious. That's it and that's all. But if you know Raven Lydia Baxter like I know Raven Lydia Baxter, then you should already know that being boy crazy was literally one of her character traits. When Raven's home came about and they wanted to make Raven a lesbian, I think, Raven Simone, who's a part of the LGBTQ community herself, said no because she didn't want to change who Raven was. Raven Baxter was a fashion icon. Raven Baxter was simply just that girl, but at the same time, Raven Baxter was our lovable queen of boy crazy. Raven was in the Disney Channel universe, a very comical and unserious universe, so nobody ever really took the stunt she pulled as serious, and you shouldn't, and I still don't. But don't allow that to have you thinking that Moesha was even close to Raven when it came to boy crazy. Of course, I haven't seen every TV show centered around the wacky life of a teenage girl, but I can honestly say and stand on that there aren't too many girls who came close to the kind of stuff Raven would do because of a crush. Because so many people seem to be under the impression that Moesha was the queen of boy crazy, I have to remind y'all of 3 things. There are many more, but I'm going to remind y'all of 3 things that Raven did. 3, because I think I randomly threw up a 2. Anyway, I'm going to remind y'all of 3 things Raven did that will show why the crown will forever be hers. Raven earned the hell out of that crown. Let's get into it. First, we're going to start with something that's really not that crazy. Then we're going to make our way to something I personally think Raven should have seen a psychiatrist for. For number 3, we have the time Raven lied about her age and it backfired real bad. So the episode starts off with Raven at school chopping it up with Chelsea. Then out of the blue, she gets hit with a random vision of her parents screaming no in her face.
No, no, and no.
At first, Raven is a little confused because she doesn't know what the vision could correlate to, but she quickly brushes it off. Then this dude by the name of Baxter shows up and Raven recognizes him because he works at the video store she goes to, and our girl is crushing hard.
Chelsea, look. There's that cute guy from the video store.
Now, typically that wouldn't really be a problem. Raven is always crushing like I was too at her age. But the thing is, Matthew is older than Raven.
Wait, he's in high school. What's he doing here?
I don't know, but teeth check.
Matthew being in high school doesn't faze Raven at all, and one thing that we all know about our girl is that when she wants something, she's going to put herself in the position to get it. A very bold girl, which is why I loved her so much growing up. Raven would do things I could see myself doing in my head but wouldn't dare to do. My girl acted on all her impulsive thoughts. Anyways, Raven and Chelsea go near Matthew and start fake laughing loud as hell until he notices them. This leads to him talking to Raven and her finding out that he knows her by name because he noticed her in the video store.
Yeah, you rented She's All That about 2 weeks ago. I sent you the late notice.
The one with the smiley face?
Then Matthew reveals that he's at the school to pick up his little sister and he wants to know what is Raven doing there, showing that he assumes she's older than what she is. Now in this episode, Raven is 14 and I've always thought that 14 means 9th grade, which means high school, but the writers make it clear that Raven isn't in high school in this episode because why would Chelsea look at Matthew and say, he's in high school, what is he doing here? If they're not also in high school, that wouldn't make sense. I'm sure somewhere down the line, Raven, Eddie, and Chelsea were suddenly in high school, but in this episode, they are not. They are either still in middle school or in one of those situations where the 9th graders are off somewhere separate. I don't know nothing about that. I went from 8th grade to 9th grade and I was in high school. I don't know. The point is, Matthew assumes Raven is older than what she is. Now, Raven could easily set him straight and tell him that she attends this middle school or whatever, but no. Instead, she tells Matthew that she's there to pick up her little brother, Eddie.
Make sure he does not wander. Oh, thank you. Come on, Eddie. Doing the most.
Yes, doing the absolute most indeed. Then things continue to go in Raven's favor when Matthew inquires from her if she wants to go out with him Friday night.
Do something with me Friday night around 8?
I don't know, Matthew. It's kind of short notice. 8:15?
Raven runs back to Chelsea, excited as hell that she now has a date with Matthew, and she's mainly enthusiastic about the him being 17 part.
I have a date Friday night, and he's 17.
Crazy as it sounds, Chelsea is the one with the most sense in the situation. She tells Raven that her parents are never going to allow her to go out with Matthew, and that makes her realize that's what Raven's vision must have been about. But somehow Raven is convinced that all she has to do is keep asking and asking her parents, and they will eventually say yes.
No, no, and no.
Can we talk about this? I feel I'm not getting it.
Exactly. I don't know who she was playing Victor and Tanya for. Even I know they don't play like that. Child, Victor even walks out the door, thinks about it for a second or two, comes back in, says,
I'm sorry, that was rude. Where was I again? Oh, yeah. No!
A little time later, we end up in Raven's room where she's complaining to Chelsea about how her parents never listen to her. Then Chelsea tells her that she has to call Matthew and let him know that she can't make it anymore. Raven tells Chelsea that she can't do it and hands her the phone telling her to do it. Then Raven takes Chelsea through this whole you do it, no I'll do it, you do it, no I'll do it thing until Chelsea snaps.
If you didn't want to do it, just say something.
Raven, being the comedian that she is, then decides to get on the phone pretending to be Chelsea. She tells Matthew in her best Chelsea impression that she like so can't make it Friday night. I ain't never heard Chelsea talk like that. But while on the phone pretending to be Chelsea, Raven gets hit with another vision of her parents dancing in the living room. This prompts her to tell Matthew that she can't make it Friday, but she can make it Saturday instead. Turns out there's only one night out of the week that Victor and Tanya go dancing. Saturday. days.
It's perfect. They'll never know.
Chelsea attempts to bust Raven's bubble by asking her who's going to be watching Corey while she's out on her date. Chelsea, there are only 2 people who are right by Raven's side anytime she's up to any kind of shenanigans. Exactly. Saturday night arrives and Chelsea is in attendance at the Baxter's residence with the sole purpose of helping Raven with her shenanigans. Then Victor and Tanya come down the stairs overly ready for the turn up while having no clue the kind of tricks Raven has up her sleeve. Now I know for storyline's sake, Victor and Tanya couldn't possibly catch on to what Raven has going on just yet, but our girl is looking real suspicious to me. The robe and shower cap are a little too performative. It looked like she got something going on. And I'm just now noticing it at my big age, but you can definitely see the flower in her hair through the shower cap, and her dress is quite literally hanging from underneath the robe. But okay, this ain't about me. Victor and Tanya don't pick up on anything, and that's all that matters to Raven. They go off to hit the streets with Raven dressed and ready to do the same thing right behind them.
They're going out, and so am I. Check it out.
Then we end up at a restaurant with Raven and Baxter, where the date is starting off a little rocky because Raven is having a hard time keeping her lie in order. She tells Baxter that it's so cool that he drives, and he's like, don't you drive too? Because he thinks she's 17 and probably assumes she has a learner's permit or something. Their interaction leads to Raven calling Chelsea back at the house to express to her how she feels like her immaturity is messing up the date. She doesn't feel like she's behaving how a 17-year-old would behave.
You should have heard the lame things I said about his car. He's gonna figure out I'm not 17.
At first, Chelsea tries to convince her to just tell Baxter how old she really is, but that's the last thing Raven is trying to do. So Chelsea advises her to let Baxter do all the talking and to just sit there looking old.
So, do tell me about your life.
Now, Raven was convinced it was her immaturity that would cause the date to go awry, but Baxter says, at first it starts with something small. He starts playing with the food, and that's not that crazy, but it's crazy.
Ooh, save me from the squid, Matthew. He big. He trying to get me, Matthew. I'ma save you, baby.
Then things just continue to get progressively worse from there. He starts eating like he's not sure when or where his next meal is coming from. I mean, he's eating like he's on death row, and this is the last meal he's ever going to get. Then disgustingly, a piece of meat flies out of his mouth and lands in Raven's drink. He picks it up and pops it back in his mouth. And on top of all that, then he makes Raven a hat out of his dirty ass napkin.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Of course, after all that, Raven is ready to go.
I'm ready to get the fuck ASAP after this shit.
She tells Baxter that she's feeling sick and wants to go home, and he immediately agrees to take her.
Just let me get the check. Waiter. Waiter.
But leaving becomes extremely difficult when Raven hears the voice of her parents. Yes, Victor and Tanya are now in the building. Raven is shook. Now she gotta figure out how she's gonna get her ass out of there without being spotted by her parents and how she gonna beat them home. And while Raven is having this very much self-imposed crisis, the whole restaurant decides to start turning up. Then, during the midst of all her struggling and scrambling, Raven gets hit with yet another vision, and it's of her mama calling the house. Somehow, Raven manages to get a moment to herself, and she calls Chelsea again to warn her not to answer the phone, but it's too late.
There's call waiting. Chelsea, no! Hello? Oh, hi, Miss Baxter.
At first, Tanya wants to know where Raven is, and Raven tells Chelsea to tell her that she's on her way to the bathroom. Then Tanya tells Chelsea to tell Raven that she looks real pretty tonight. Oh, Tanya done already spotted her.
Wait, how would she know that? Trust me, girl, she ain't psychic.
After being caught red-handed, Raven attempts to joke her way out of the confrontation, but ain't shit funny to Tanya. She wants to know what the hell is going on. Raven tells her about the day she's on and how she's out with a guy named Baxter and that Tanya doesn't exactly know him.
Well, that's 1 point against you. Keep going.
Then she starts rambling about how she doesn't really know Baxter that well either, and if she knew how disgusting he was, she never would have gone out with him. For some reason, Raven was under the impression that Baxter would be more mature and cooler because he's older. She said says it's the worst date she's ever gone out on, and she's so focused on reliving the disgust she has for Matthew that she doesn't realize that she just told her mama she's out with an older boy.
You went out with an older boy you don't know. 2 points. Keep going.
Then she also has to add the fact that she got in the car along with him and allowed him to drive her away from her house.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, I know, 3 points.
No, actually, that's 10 points.
Then Tanya wants to know why Raven left the house after she and Victor clearly told her no, and Raven says it's because she was trying to explain, but they never listened to her. But if I were a parent, there is no amount of explaining my 14-year-old could do that would make me okay with them going out with someone who's 17. Plus, in my opinion, 14-year-olds shouldn't be dating at all. I think the only thing a 14-year-old should be focused on is school, books, friends, something creative, maybe a TV show they really like, a sport or something, and an unattainable celebrity crush for good measure.
That's my opinion!
Anyways, my point is Victor and Tanya were right in telling Raven no, and I feel like there's nothing Raven could say to justify any of her actions tonight. Maybe I was a little more on Raven's side back in the day, but the lobe is developed. I see things way differently now. Oh my god, dare I say I'm old enough to start seeing things from Tanya and Victor's perspective when I watch the show now? My god. Anywho, Matthew has worked Raven's nerves so bad that she doesn't really care that she's in trouble for real, as long as it means getting far away from him.
Mom, if you love me, you start dragging my sorry butt home now.
Knowing that her parents are more than likely about to drag her home, she goes back to the table she was sharing with Matthew and she grabs her coat, causing him to ask her where she's going. Raven says to Matthew, home with my parents because oops.
I forgot to tell you, I'm 14. I know. It's hard to believe.
Disney? But one thing about Tanya and Victor is that they are far from gullible, so they can see how bad Raven really wants to get away from Matthew. They can see she really doesn't care about being punished because being around him was punishment enough, so they say,
Here's your ride home.
You wanted this date, you got this date.
Then back at the table, Matthew tells Raven that he doesn't care that she's just 14 because he's so excited about the dessert her parents got sent to the table. Disney?
Super duper Opa?
Tanya and Victor force Raven to sit there and endure Matthew eating that entire dessert with nothing but his hands because he did offer her the spoon. I guess that's something. Raven is so traumatized and disgusted afterwards that she goes over to her parents and she says, if y'all love me, y'all would drag my sorry butt home right now. But first, Tanya and Victor explain that they need to make a few things clear to Raven. Victor tells her that he understands that she's getting older and wants her own independence, but lying to them is not the way. And Tanya adds that at the same time they understand that not taking the time out to listen to her is also not cool. Then the episode basically ends with them telling Raven that Matthew was never going to be her ride home. They just needed to make sure she learned her lesson. Now, lying about your age isn't really ludicrous. In fact, it's something that happens every day, but hopefully young girls and boys are being educated about what dangers that could potentially lead to. Don't allow the Disney Channel universe to lead you astray. Raven is in a made-up universe. The real world is real dark. Be safe, y'all. But anyways, I purposely chose this one as a little appetizer before we really see Raven lose her mind. For number 2, we have the time Raven pretended to be a Russian gymnast. So the episode immediately starts off with Raven on some bullshit. I mean, immediately. She's rolling through the hallways of Bayside High on a pair of roller skates very close to breaking her neck. And why? Because she has a thing for this dude on the track team named Eric. And Eric is always running, so Raven figured a pair of roller skates would help her catch up to him.
What are you doing wearing skates in the hallway, girl?
Trying to meet a boy?
It's just 55 seconds into the episode and Raven is already doing too much and we ain't even got to the worst of it yet. Now we're in gym class with Chelsea and she approaches this girl that looks a lot like Raven from behind, but we quickly find out that it's not her. The girl's name is Natasha and she's from Russia, and I'm guessing she's new at the school since Chelsea isn't familiar with her.
I totally mistook you for my friend Raven.
My name is Natasha. I'm from Russia.
Then Chelsea locates Raven and they talk about how Chelsea mistook Natasha for her, and Raven agrees that her and Natasha do share some physical similarities, but she immediately sees that looks are where those physical similarities stop.
She does kind of look like me. Except for when she does that.
Meanwhile, Eddie and some other dudes are outside the door peeping in on the girls' gym class through the window. Eric ends up joining in and witnesses Natasha's athletic skills, causing him to become instantly enamored with her.
She just joined the gymnastics team. She's from Russia.
Gotta meet her.
But the thing is, Eric only sees Natasha from behind, so when a teacher walks up and Eddie, Eric, and the rest of the boys pretend they weren't peeping in on the girls' gym class, Raven ends up in the spot Natasha was in. So when Eric looks back through the window and Raven turns around, he thinks she's Natasha.
Eric, that's not Natasha, that's Eric? Man, this ought to be interesting.
Later on that same day, Eddie meets up with Raven and Chelsea in the hallway and he tells them that they won't believe the funniest thing that happened earlier that day. The funny thing that Eddie is referring to is Eric thinking Raven is Natasha.
Thought that I was Natasha?
Yeah, and he really likes you.
Oh, what the hell he tell that girl that for? Now Raven is convinced that Eric likes her and she goes deaf in one eye when Eddie tries to explain that it's not her that Eric likes, it's who he thinks she is.
Yeah, except the you that he really likes isn't you.
But it's the me that he thinks he likes.
Eddie ends up telling Raven to just let it go, and if Eric says anything to her about it, to set him straight. Sounds real simple, sounds real easy, but this is Raven Baxter we're dealing with here. Now, at first, she agrees with Eddie. She even laughs at the idea of her pretending to be a Russian gymnast all to get a boy's attention, but as soon as Eric shows up...
Hey, Natasha!
Why, hello, Eric. I heard you was liking me.
Genuinely thinking Raven is Natasha, Eric seems to be extremely interested in her and wants to know if she would like to work out with him sometime. Because remember, he's on the track team and he's real athletic, and one of the main reasons he likes Natasha is because he thinks she's real athletic too. Meanwhile, Raven cares about being athletic about as much as I do, which is not a whole lot. But Raven is just so damn happy that Eric is finally in her face that she finds herself agreeing to go for a run with that boy at 5 in the morning.
Perfect, right before dinner.
5 in the morning.
Even better, right before the sun comes up.
Look at how Eddie and Chelsea are looking at her. Exactly, girl, what are you doing? It can't be that deep, Raven.
Stop it. Get some help.
Again, Eddie tries to talk some sense to Raven by telling her that there's no way she'll be able to pull off pretending to be Natasha, but Raven tells him that this is the only way for her to get to know Eric, and she only plans on doing it for a little bit until he gets to know the real her. How he's going to get to know the real her when she's pretending to be somebody else, I don't know, but okay. The next morning, Eric is good on his word and shows up at Raven's house at 5 a.m.
Good morning, sir. I'm here to pick up Natasha.
Surprisingly, Raven is up and ready, but it's not for no running.
Why, hello, Eric.
She tries convincing Eric that instead of running, they should make pancakes, talk a little, and look into each other's eyes. Eric ain't trying to hear that shit. Like I said, Eric is real serious about being athletic, so he basically tells Raven if she's not trying to run, then he's not trying to be there.
If you're not into training, you know...
That's the last thing Raven wants, so she leaves her house at 5 a.m. to go on a 5-mile run with that boy. And why? Because she likes him.
Oh, snapski.
We jump to school later the same day, I think, but I'm hoping it's not, because it will mean that Raven went running with that boy for 5 miles starting at 5 a.m. and still had to turn around and be ready for school. I don't want to believe my girl is that far gone, but she is pretending to be a Russian gymnast right now, so it's not that far-fetched. Anyways, Raven is so from head to toe. She tells Eddie and Chelsea that she couldn't talk Eric out of the run, the sit-ups, nor the push-ups. Then Eddie poses a very important question. He wants to know, when does Raven plan on telling Eric the truth?
When you're married and have 10 kids?
But Raven says she can't tell him because somehow she already feels like she's in too deep. Then during the middle of this conversation, Raven gets a vision of Eric telling her it's okay and that she doesn't have to pretend to be something she's not because he likes her just the way she is. Of course, Raven interprets the vision as Eric being okay with her pretending to be somebody else, but no, he shows up and the vision happens in real time, but Eric is talking about being okay with Raven, aka Natasha, not being a runner.
Obviously, you're not a runner. You're just an incredible gymnast.
It has nothing to do with the scheme that Ty set up for Raven to come to Eric with the bullshit. Then Eric goes on and on to Raven about how he wants to know everything about her, her culture, her language, her hopes and dreams.
Dreams?
Why don't you just start with her name?
Hush.
Now you're in too deep, Raven, and if pretending to be a whole nother person wasn't stressful enough, then she adds a non-existent dog to the mix.
Husky, that is my dog.
It went from worse to worse, sir.
We jump back to Raven's house the next morning, or maybe it's been a few days, who knows, who cares, but the point is Eric is back at her door at 5 a.m. and we see that he likes Natasha so much that somewhere off camera he took time out of his day to learn a little Russian on the side to be able to greet her father, Victor, who he thinks doesn't speak much English.
Good morning, sir. Or should I say, dobre utro?
Of course, Victor isn't in on what Raven has going on. Eric assumes that he doesn't speak much English because he's been bringing his ass to those people dough at 5 a.m. and catching Victor barely woke and out of his mind.
It's okay, Papa. I take it from here.
Then we find out that Raven actually told Eric she was sick to get out of running, but he still showed up with a gift for her and a treat for her dog.
Aren't you going to give it to him?
Yes. I go give it to her right now.
And as we all know and have seen, there are really no limits to what Raven will do to keep something going, so it's not surprising when she goes from just pretending to be Natasha to pretending to be the damn dog too.
Come here, boy.
And why was the dog barking in a Russian accent? I'm so over Raven right now. After giving Husky his treat, Raven wants to know what Eric brought for her, and he tells her to close her eyes and get her mouth ready for a big surprise. Raven's delusional ass thinks she's getting a kiss, but no. Eric has some kind of Russian soup made with pickles, sour cream, and fish heads that he brought because she's supposed to be sick. Now, the real Natasha would probably love all the research and stuff he's doing to learn about her and her culture, but Raven is not a fan of that soup at all. To get out of eating any more of it, she tells Eric that she can already feel it doing a trick, and this prompts him to say, oh, so now you're ready for the meet.
Oh, no meat, please. The soup is working, I tell you.
Your big gymnastics meet today against Jefferson.
Raven has been running around pretending to be this girl and had no clue that Natasha has a whole gymnastics meet against another school named Jefferson today. Out of everything, this is what makes Raven see that things may be going a little too far, so she finally prepares to tell Eric the truth, but then she's cut off by him talking about how he recently lost a track meet to Jefferson because they cheated, and he says the worst part about it all is that they lied about it afterwards, and he gets real passionate about how much he can't stand liars.
That's the one thing I can't stand is a liar.
Whoa, big guy. You sound like you're a little frustrated and mad.
Now Raven is too scared to tell him the truth.
I'm sorry to go off like that. What is it you wanted to tell me?
Was nothing.
We end up at school a little bit before the gymnastics meet, where Raven has summoned Eddie and Chelsea to the gym because she has concocted a plan, and of course she needs her ride or dies by her side. Now at first, Chelsea tells Raven that she's not going to get tangled in her web of lies, but quickly folds, saying she hates feeling left out.
I hate feeling left out.
Me too. I guess you can count us both in, right?
So wait a minute, they go along with all of Raven's crazy shit because they don't want to be left out? That's funny. Anyway, so the plan is for Eddie to go tell Eric that Natasha, aka Raven, has a bad case of nerves and can't compete with him in the room, so he has to watch her through the window. That way, when Eric sees the real Natasha competing through the window, he'll think it's Raven if he doesn't get a good look at her face. And I love my girl Raven down, but I gotta call it like I see it, and this is when shit starts getting scary because it's revealed that she basically has no real plans on telling Eric the truth. She says when the meet is over, she'll appear in the hallway and he'll tell her what a good job she did, and then they'll live happily ever after.
In your big web of lies.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
What about the real Natasha? What about future meets? What about when people finally get familiar with Natasha and when Eric is pulling her out as Raven, everybody's like, boy, that ain't Natasha, that's Raven Baxter. Anyways, then while practicing, the real Natasha falls and hurts her ankle. Raven feels bad for her at first, but then she realizes that if Natasha doesn't compete, there's no need for her plan, and she's basically off the hook for now. So her and Chelsea rush out of the gym to find Eddie before he gets to Eric, but end up running right into Eric themselves.
We're looking for
cozy little girl's room. In Russia,
We call it the Eddie.
Somehow, Eric already heard that Natasha sprained her ankle, but Raven literally ran right into him, so he sees that's not true. And at the same time, Eddie already got to him and told him about the bad case of nerves.
But I see what's going on.
You do?
Eddie told me the truth.
Which truth?
Eric thinks Natasha, aka Raven, faked a sprained ankle to get out of competing because she was so nervous. He tells her that he can't let her do this because she has a commitment to her team, school, and to herself.
You're a great gymnast. You gotta get out there and do your best.
Raven tells him that she can't and she really needs to tell him something. Eric says, I know, I like you too. And then he gives Raven that kiss she was puckering up for earlier, and our girl loses all sense of self.
Oh, come on.
okay.
Stand up!
Raven knowing full well that she's not the real Natasha, Raven knowing full well that she has no kind of gymnastic skills whatsoever, allows that kiss from Eric to boost her head up enough to go back into that gym, and she competes as Natasha.
Lord Jesus.
Eric is confused, perplexed, baffled, flabbergasted.
What is she doing out there?
I don't know, but knowing her, she's just getting warmed up.
Raven is my girl. She can do whatever she wants and I'ma defend her, but this is a lie. This is a lie. And all of this is for the real Natasha to come limping in and sit down right beside Eric, and just like that, the jig is up.
Natasha, you can do it.
Do what?
I knew this would be interesting.
Yeah. What you over here being messy for?
After being scored 2 zeros and a question mark, Raven sees Eric and Natasha together and knows that she has been caught.
You're not Natasha Babinski, are you? Well, who are you?
Raven Baxter. Eric, listen,
She apologizes to Eric for lying to him, and she apologizes to Natasha for pretending to be her. She explains that she really liked Eric and wanted to meet him, but he really liked Natasha and wanted to meet her.
You did?
Yeah.
And it's Disney Channel, so after that, everything is just good. No real life consequences, even though the whole plot was crazy as hell. Then the episode basically ends with Eric and Natasha walking off into the sunset and Raven at home on the couch with a big ass bag of ice. And I know somebody out there has to be wondering, what could be more ludicrous than pretending to be a Russian gymnast? Last but not least, but number 1, we have the time Raven crashed the wedding. So the episode starts off with Raven at school in the hallway spotting her boo Devon, and if you somehow don't remember Devon Carter, he's Raven's most iconic and longest recurring boyfriend on the show. Like, I don't really think I knew what love was or really grasped the concept of love until I experienced Raven and Devon at the wee age of 5. They changed my life and altered my brain chemistry. Let me be serious. Raven goes over to Devon and starts being all cute with him, but you can tell he's really not feeling it. His energy is off, and Raven picks up on this even more when she asks him if he wants to hang out tonight, and he responds by saying tonight isn't good in a very weird manner.
Tonight's not really good.
okay?
Then when Devon is out of sight, Ed and Chelsea walk up and Raven tells them that something is definitely going on with him. Chelsea wants to know if everything in their relationship is okay, and Raven says that she's fine, but Devon has been acting weird all week.
Eddie, you're a guy. What do you think's going on?
Eddie says that normally when a guy acts like that, he has something big on his mind or something small, or maybe he's hungry. I mean, just no help at all, just talking because he can speak English at this point.
Why do you answer when you really don't even know?
I'm a guy, it's what we do. Holla.
Then Raven is hit with a vision of Devon showing Chelsea a ring.
Oh my goodness! Devon, that is beautiful! Raven's gonna love it!
Raven now assumes that the reason Devon is acting so weird is because he got her a piece of jewelry. Then she tells Chelsea that she was the one Devon showed the ring to, and Chelsea is excited, saying she loves being in Raven's visions because it's like starring in her own little movie that only Raven can see. Raven tells her that's adorable, then immediately gets down to business and gives Chelsea a mission to follow Devon around to ensure the vision actually happens.
And as a star of my vision, I'm trusting you to make this one come true.
On the mission Raven sent her on, like her life depends on it, Chelsea makes sure to meet up with Devon alone in the hallway.
Alone in the hallway, just you and me and maybe, I don't know, something sparkly.
Devon ends up telling her that he's kind of going through a weird time right now, and Chelsea tells him he should let it out because it's not good to keep things in his heart, his mind, or his pockets. Devon lets her know that there's something he really needs to tell Raven that he's just been putting off and putting off.
I feel like I need to talk to someone.
Ooh, you should talk to me.
This leads to Devon pulling out the ring Raven saw and her vision coming into fruition. But the thing is, it's not a regular promise ring or something, it's a wedding ring.
What's going on?
Now Chelsea thinks Devon is going to propose to Raven, which is insane because they're like 15.
That is a wedding ring. Are you gonna ask Raven to marry you?
No, it's not for her.
Devon hands the ring to Chelsea while bending down on one knee. Now Chelsea thinks he's proposing to her, which is even more insane because, girl, Chelsea, please.
You're an attractive guy, and come on, you're so young, you know, and Raven's my best friend.
Why would she say that? Like...
Guess I picked a bad time to tie my shoe.
You think?
Anyways, then Devon finally clears everything up. The ring belongs to his father, who is getting remarried tonight, and Devon is the best man. Rightfully so, Chelsea wants to know why Devon hasn't told Raven yet, and he says because there's more to the story. And before telling Chelsea what it is, he makes it clear to her that he feels he's the person who should tell Raven.
You have to promise me you won't tell her.
I promise.
Now we're at Raven's house after school, and Chelsea is privy to what is bothering Devon, but because of the promise she made to him, she's ducking and dodging the question anytime Raven brings him up.
What is going on? He threw the clock out the window is because he wanted to see time fly.
Raven tells Chelsea she's going to see her fist fly if she doesn't stop changing the subject and tell her what's going on with Devon, or she said something close to it. I don't know, that's what I heard. But still, Chelsea is standing her ground and she tells Raven that she's sorry, but she can't because she promised Devon she wouldn't. The best thing Raven can do next is guilt trip her, and she reminds Chelsea of a promise they made to each other at 6 years old, that they would always tell each other everything.
Which promise is more important?
Chelsea gives in. She says that Raven is her best friend and she's probably never going to see Devon again, and he didn't want to marry her anyways. It's hilarious that Chelsea is really in her feelings that that boy didn't want to marry her. Chelsea!
Back to the marrying part and tell me how that came up. Well, I guess it all came up with the wedding ring.
Raven isn't focused on the Chelsea being a little salty that Devon didn't want to marry her part, but that's where I would be stuck because what? She just heard a wedding ring was involved and she gets all giggly and giddy as if her and Devon getting married would be plausible right now, because according to the Raven's home universe, they do get married and divorced in the future. I mean, Disney just messed my end game all the way up, but okay. Anyways, Chelsea tells Raven before she gets all excited the wedding ring wasn't for neither of them, it was for Chandra.
Oh, Chandra. Who the heck is Chandra?
Chelsea tells Raven about Devon's father getting married and how Devon is the best man. Now Raven wants to know more about the never seeing Devon again part, and this is where shit gets real.
Ray, that's the hard part. He doesn't really know how to tell you.
You tell me.
It turns out Chandra lives in Seattle and Devon's whole family plans on relocating there. Chelsea tries to cheer Raven up by saying it's not that far, but according to Miss Google, that's like a 12-hour car ride, a 19-hour bus ride, and it is an hour on a plane, but Devon and Raven are 15 years old. Their parents are not about to go for any of that just to keep their relationship going.
Child, it might as well be on the other side of the world.
We cut to Raven's room where she's in the bed drowning her sorrows in a bag of cookies. Chelsea was already there and Eddie rushed over to be by his bestie's side. Then Eddie and Chelsea go back and forth about how they each feel about Devon right now. Eddie feels that Devon should have been stepped up and told Raven about what was going on a while ago, and Chelsea is more understanding of what Devon may have been battling with.
Want to break her heart?
And this is better. A broken woman searching for happiness at the bottom of an empty cookie bag.
Raven says that Eddie is right and that her being in bed like that is pathetic, so she's going to take some action. She decides that she wants to call Devon, but Chelsea won't allow her to, saying that Devon will find out she broke her promise. Plus she says it doesn't matter if Raven talks to Devon because it's his father who's getting married.
Then maybe I need to talk to his father.
And say what? I love your son, please don't move.
Raven says why not? What does she have to lose? And maybe if Devon's father sees how much her and Devon care about each other, he'll decide not to move. Poor Ting Ting. I mean, just all logic and reason go right out the window when Raven's heart is on the line. Because this grown man who just got remarried is going to stay in San Francisco because his teenage son is in Scrong like. Yeah.
Child. Anyway, so
Chelsea tells Raven that if she plans on talking to Devon's father, then she better make it quick because they're leaving right after the wedding that is happening right now.
Snap! Anybody know
where the wedding is?
Raven, Eddie, and Chelsea go down to the wedding on a mission that Raven easily gets distracted from.
Dawn is looking fine in that tuxedo. Right, hey, focus. Right.
Once Raven gets herself together, she approaches Devon's father, Mr. Carter, and I just have to point out that he's played by Joe Jackson. If you know, you know.
Michael! Molly!
I've had enough, Joseph!
And if you weren't already thinking it, you really see that what Raven and Devon have was never serious enough for her to sneak to this wedding in hopes of getting his father to keep the family in San Francisco because the man doesn't even know who she is.
You probably don't know me, but you probably heard of me. I'm Raven. I really don't want Devon to see me.
She literally has to introduce herself to him, and this man is in the middle of his wedding, so of course he's barely trying to hear it.
But some promises were made.
It's really nice chatting with you, but I kind of made some promises of my own.
Raven continues trying, and just when she thinks she's about to get her point across, she's tripped by Devon's little sister who has hated Raven since the first time they met.
Glad you're here. Now we can say goodbye. Forever.
Now the gang has to regroup. Raven tells Eddie to stall the wedding while her and Chelsea go off to figure out their next move. Eddie ends up on a piano, and Raven and Chelsea end up somewhere in the back in another room with the wedding dress and the bride in the bathroom. The bride heard Raven and Chelsea come in the room and assumes it's her mother, and of course Raven does what she has to do for her to keep on thinking that.
Yes, baby. It's me. I'm your mama. How you doing, child?
This is when they find out the bride is going to be a while because her stomach is doing flips. Not because of nerves, but because of some chili dogs she had at the bachelorette party.
Yeah. Take your time, and your man is not going anywhere.
Now, there are a million things Raven could do to get to Devon's father, but when she gets to eyeing that wedding dress, I know she's about to pick the most deranged one.
Lord Jesus.
You wouldn't. And I shouldn't.
But you must.
And I will.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Even though Eddie is supposed to be stalling the wedding, Devon's little sister threatens him to start playing Here Comes the Bride, and who pops out in the wedding dress? Raven Lydia Baxter.
Lord Jesus.
Chelsea goes over to Eddie and tells him that Raven kinda borrowed the bride's wedding gown, so he needs to speed up the song because if Raven doesn't hurry down the aisle, things are going to get ugly. And Disney is so freaking messy and crazy for how things play out next. Like now with my fully developed frontal lobe, I can't believe somebody wrote this sequence of events for a kid's show, but this was back when Disney was edgy, child. So boom, the priest starts the nuptials, and while they are happening, Raven is trying to get Mr. Carter's attention to no avail.
We have to talk.
Honey, we're about to be married. She's just a little bit nervous.
So when it gets to the part about objecting, she sees it as her time to shine.
If anyone present has any objection to this...
I do.
She says out loud in front of everybody that she objects because she's in love with Mr. Carter's son. The crowd is gagged. And that's not even the craziest part. Because of the crowd's reaction, Raven tries to clear it up by saying,
No, y'all don't understand. I'm only 15.
oh, the crowd is ready to notify the authorities now. But luckily, Raven immediately clears it up by showing herself and saying she's not the bride.
Raven?
Raven.
Of course, Mr. Carter wants to know where his bride is, and Raven tells him about the chili dogs. Then standing there in the bride's wedding dress looking crazy as hell, Raven tells Mr. Carter about how her and Devon have something special, and if they move to Seattle, it's going to be over. So she came there to ask him, please don't go. Mr. Carter is flabbergasted, honey. He says to Raven, wait, let me get this straight. You crashed my wedding, stole the gown, impersonated my bride. Raven cuts him off talking about some when you lump it all together like that, it's going to sound bad.
But if you separated it and get to the root of the situation.
Thankfully, Devon steps in and pulls Raven to the side. He explains to her that he's moving and his father is not going to change his mind.
Look at my dad. He's never been happier.
It's crazy, but even after all the insane shit Raven has done, you still end up feeling bad for her because at the end of the day, somewhere underneath all this psych ward worthy behavior, there is just a young girl with a broken heart and good intentions.
Kind of crazy for me to come here, wasn't it?
had to give it a shot.
Devon apologizes to Raven for not telling her sooner and says that he planned to stop by her house after the wedding so they could talk, and Raven tells him that they can talk now. Then they share a moment that definitely had 5 or 6-year-old Destiny sick to her stomach. This is very personal for me.
I'll never forget you.
Will I ever see you again?
I hope so.
Then the moment gets ruined by Chandra storming from the back saying Raven stole her dress and her husband. Wait a minute, I know this lady. She was in the Remember the Time video. She's like a dancer or something. Anywho, then the episode basically ends with Mr. Carter and Chandra getting married and Raven and Devon saying goodbye to each other. As a child, I definitely thought every single move Raven made in this episode is what she had to do in the name of love. But as an adult, of course, now I see how ludicrous it really is. As a 15-year-old, you just can't crash a wedding, steal the bride's dress, and walk down the aisle all because you don't want your boyfriend to move away. That's crazy. With this one, Raven definitely earned the title as our lovable queen of boy crazy because wasn't nobody going this hard behind a boy but her, and we loved her for it. Before I let this outro play out, let me just say that I started filming this video at 12. I didn't get done till almost 4 o'clock in the morning. So by the time it got to me filming the outro, it was 3 something in the morning. I was tired. My wig was tired. My lashes were tired. You know, everything was just tired and it shows. I mean, I just looked like it. So I just had to come here and just say not too much on me, okay? Not too much on me. Sometimes you just gotta look a mess to get your point across. I quite literally wouldn't be who I am today hadn't Raven Baxter been a part of my childhood. My whole personality was influenced and still is influenced by her. When I rewatch the show, I see where I got a lot of things from. So if you find me entertaining in any kind of way, if I make you laugh or whatever, you have Raven Baxter to thank for that. I just see so much of myself in that girl. It's ridiculous. And I still do. In my big age, it's crazy. That's probably a problem. Anyways, so I wanted to do this video because I love being in the This or Raven universe, and I wanted to talk about some of the crazy things Raven did because of a boy, because that was part of the reason we loved her. Raven was always tripping off some boy. That's who she was, and that's why we loved her. And the second reason I wanted to do this video is because I am a Moesha defender. If nobody is out there defending Moesha, I died. So on my poll the other day, or depending on when I get this video out, it's gonna be a couple days ago, a week, I don't know. I did a poll where I put Raven and Moesha and I asked who was more boy crazy. And I did it on purpose. Anybody who watched Moesha and Des or Raven know that Raven was 100% more boy crazy than Moesha. But I did the poll because I wanted to see something, and I saw it. Oh boy, did I see it. I put Moesha up against somebody who was literally the definition of boy crazy. Like, you look up boy crazy, there should probably be a picture of Raven in her best fit right there. I put Moesha up against somebody who I knew was 100% more boy crazy than her. And I think the last time I looked at the poll, shit, let me look at it right now, actually. There are 1.9k votes. That's 1,900 and some people. And 74% think Moesha was more boy crazy than Raven Baxter. And I know exactly why. People grew up watching Moesha. I didn't grow up watching Moesha. I think Moesha, what was the last season of Moesha? 2000? I had to be like 1. So Moesha is something I discovered. Like I said, I discovered Moesha when I was 11. I remember it vividly. I was laying in the bed. It was probably a school night. All I heard was Mo to the. I said, oh, what's this? Another random show about a black girl that I can watch. Fell in love instantly. Loved the show. But people watched the show growing up. Then I think one day they put it on Netflix and they watched the show as adults, and with their adult brains they watched that show, and the black community deemed Moesha as fast. When it comes to that F word, it's a word I can't stand. I can't stand that F word. I can't stand it. People deemed Moesha as fast, and What that poll showed me, well, it showed me what I already know, but it showed me that how the black community receives and talks about Moesha as a character is what happens to young black girls when you theme them, when you label them as fast. If you watched a lot of black sitcoms like me, or a lot of shows growing up that are centered around teenage girls and, you know, their lives, Sister 101, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, it was kind of centered around Ashley sometimes, hell, The Proud Family, That's So Raven, etc., etc., then you know Moesha wasn't doing anything worse than what the other girls were doing. I must repeat that. Moesha wasn't doing anything worse than what the other sitcom girls were doing, but because a lot of people have labeled her fast, I don't know, when it comes to her, people just, I don't know, I'm gonna say they act like they don't have brain cells. When it comes to Moesha, people act like they don't have brain cells, to the point that I can put Moesha beside Raven, who was literally boy crazy. I mean, Raven, everybody knows Raven is the definition of boy crazy. I feel like nobody really takes it serious because it was the Disney Channel universe. She come from Disney and you're not supposed to take it serious. And trust me, I don't. But even without taking anything that Raven did serious, I still know there's no way in hell that Moesha ever came close to the stuff she would do. But because people have deemed Moesha as fast, I could put Moesha beside Raven and people would still pick that girl and still be talking about fast tail, hot in the pants. She had multiple. What are you people are saying that Moesha, I think people say Moesha was fast because she had multiple love interests. If you watch the shows, didn't they all? Tia and Tamara had multiple boys who showed up to be their love interests. Raven had multiple boys that showed up to be her love interests. I'm pretty sure Ashley had a couple. I'm pretty sure Penny Proud had a couple. Hell, outside the black community, Miley Stewart had a couple. London Tipton had a couple. Alex Russo had a couple. Any show centered around a teenage girl, they bring different boys in to be their love interest. But somehow Moesha is seen as fast, when I must say again, Moesha wasn't doing anything worse than what the other sitcom girls were doing. Like, compared to Raven. Raven is my girl, lover down boots. And I'm not judging her at all. Like, I don't judge none of these girls. I don't judge Raven. I don't judge Moesha. I don't judge Stan Tamara. I don't judge them at all. That's why I can, you know, watch the show and not be so critical when it comes to Moesha, because I understand that in all these universes, they are just teenage girls doing teenage girl things, but somehow Moesha is fast. Moesha never lied about her age. Moesha rarely ever chased a boy, and when they did have Moesha go after a boy, and I blame the writers 100% for this, when they did have Moesha go after a boy, it was when she was 17 and it was her teacher. And I did a whole video about that episode, so I'm not gonna get into that, but like I said, I don't judge Moesha. I could say Moesha was wrong in that episode. She definitely shouldn't have been coming on to that man, but that's anything that would have transpired between them would 100% been Channing's fault, because he is the adult and all he had to say was, "Little girl, leave me alone." It's that simple. "Little girl, leave me alone." But anyway, Lord, I lost my train of thought. But like I said, Moesha never lied about her age. Moesha was a whole lot more sensible when it came to boys than people want to give her credit for. But the black community has labeled her as fast. So I'm all over the place, but I promise I'm going somewhere with this and I'm gonna pull it back. I'm gonna pull it all together. Anyway, my point is, you shouldn't be out here calling young black girls fast. When it comes to people putting that F word on Moesha, I have to defend her. Because again, I'm gonna say it again, and if you watch these shows, Moesha wasn't doing anything worse than what the other girls were doing. And if you really wanna, you know, bring out the facts, Moesha was really the least boy crazy. Moesha just had boy drama. She had boy drama. But then they all, at some point, you don't have to like Moesha's personality. You can think Moesha was messy, ungrateful, irritating, a bad friend. Hell, they could never make me hate Moesha, but Even I am quiet a lot of times because my girl used to be tripping sometimes. But you don't have to like Moesha to put your brain cells together and understand that labeling a young black girl as fast is like putting a scarlet letter on her chest. You don't have to like Moesha, and Moesha doesn't have to fit into your perfect box of how you think a young black girl should behave for her to deserve some grace and some respect. Because the way people talk about that character, like she wasn't a child for 4 seasons. The show started with Moesha turning 16. Just like all the other girls, Moesha was just a young girl trying to figure it out. Hell, I would never feel comfortable putting that F word on no young black girl ever, because I know what that does and I see it with Moesha. Yeah, Moesha is a fictional character, but how people talk about her, it's very real. I'm going to say again that Moesha wasn't doing anything worse than what the other sitcom girls were doing. I just showed y'all 3 things that Raven was doing. Raven was insane in the men brain when it came to boys. Tia got attacked too because of a boy. Tamara spotted a cute boy on the bus and stayed on that bus all night hoping to see him again. I want to say again, like I said, I have to rewatch 101. It's been a minute. It's been a few years since I watched 101, so I can't really speak for Brianna, but I want to say that she ran away. Hell, Penny Proud was in her room stealing music over a boy. All the girls were a little ditzy sometimes. All the girls were a little naive sometimes. All the girls were a little boy crazy sometimes. Some of the girls got bad attitudes and bad personalities, but they all deserve grace. All of them. But I do have a theory. Well, it's not really the theory. I think it's just the truth. Again, I didn't exist in the 90s. I was born in 1999. I say this all the time, but you know, I know a little bit about what was going on in the 90s. You don't have to be there in real time to read. Let me stop playing, but no, this is serious. Like, no, it's serious, but I understand when you get to bringing up that F word in the black community. I know I'm talking to some brick walls right now. Somebody's gonna come in, good, Moesha was fast. You know, people gonna do what they gonna do. I don't care. But like I said, I have a theory. It's not a theory. I just said that it's not a theory. I think it's the truth. How people feel about Moesha is how people felt about Brandy in the 90s. All the nasty and weird things they say about Moesha are the same nasty and weird things I'm pretty sure they were saying about Brandy, a literal child. They both are children. Like I said, Moesha turned 18 in the 4th season. I know what episode she turned 18 because it's my favorite episode. It's the Independence Day episode, and it's when all her old flings show back up. That's my favorite episode because you get to see Ohaji, Q. Who else showed up? Aaron. I'm missing somebody. I'm not talking about the nasty ass teacher. I'm missing somebody else. Did I say Ohaji? See, I'm telling y'all, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. My brain is fried. I'm ready to go to bed. Bitch, I'm missing somebody. Usher character. Usher's character. I think I want to say his name started with a B. See, I never liked Usher on Moesha like that. Like, I ain't like him on Moesha. I ain't like his character like that at all. But I want to say it was Brandon. Brandon feels like that might have been his name. In the end, I guess my point is that, bitch, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, but you know what? I feel like I got my point across. I feel like I got what I was trying to say out. I feel like I did. Like, I feel like I went off the rails towards the end when it came to no, like I said, Brandy is Moesha, Moesha is Brandy. How people feel about Moesha, and I read the comments, especially on the poll video, I read some things where I'm just like, y'all do know y'all talking about a child, right? But when you label a young black girl as fast, people feel like they can say anything about that child. People feel like that child is just free game. She fast. We can say anything we want about her.